GMLB family, welcome back to another emergency episode where we're covering the trade deadline in the NBA this season. The deadline has officially passed, and it's the deadline that kept on giving. What was initially thought to be an extremely boring deadline became one of the greatest, if not the greatest, NBA trade deadline of all time. And it even gave us a little something after the deadline ended, which we'll get into. But before we get into any of that, my name is Mike Miles. I am with my co-hosts Kevin, Victor, and Daniel. Fellas, how are we feeling after the trade deadline?
Ready to see these new faces and new places. At the time of this recording, we
Bars.
got we got a we got a Luka Doncic debut in about 2.5 hours. At the time of this recording,
Mm-hmm.
I'll reiterate one more time. I'm ready.
Dude, I'm excited, man, because after last year, that trade deadline last year was terrible. I remember, I think the best thing that happened was Bogdanovich going to the Knicks.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, this was a fun trade time period, I guess you could say, or trade deadline. That's what I mean. Yeah. It was a fun trade. It was a fun trade deadline. There was a lot of action and like Kevin said, a lot of new faces and cool places. So we'll see how this all these things turn out.
It has to be the best trade deadline ever, I feel like.
I
Did you
think I think it is. In terms of
Yeah.
sheer movement, I would say probably. At least that I've witnessed.
And the names that were moving too, I think was obviously a big part of that.
Yeah, the unthinkable happened.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we got probably the biggest sports trade in sports history that came at least top two, top three. So, uh, fellas, it's been a minute since we did last episode is an emergency podcast to cover Luka Doncic. I did just want to update. If you watched the last few episodes, GMLB family, we have been tracking Dorian Finney-Smith's shooting numbers. I'll reiterate the hypothesis here. The hypothesis is once a player gets traded to the Lakers, their three-point shooting numbers will fall off a cliff. That was the hypothesis we made on this podcast. Dorian Finney-Smith, prior to making it to the Lakers, so his Nets tenure this season, he was shooting 43%. Right now, fellas, he is shooting 39.3%. So it hasn't fallen off a cliff, but it's declined. So we'll keep tracking this throughout the season, and we'll see if it continues to fall. Because if you want to go back and watch the episode, it was 2 episodes ago when we made that hypothesis, 2 or 3, and you could see us dive into it more deep there. But as always, fellas, let's jump into this first trade. Actually, this isn't a trade. This is something better, fellas. The Good Morning Let's basketball mascot, Ben Simmons, signed to the Clippers. Let's get to the most important trade first. Fellas, any comments on this trade before we get into the actual trades? Sorry, this signing.
I was hoping he was going to go to Cleveland because when it was announced that the Nets were going to buy out his contract, it was immediately reported he was either going to the Clippers or Cleveland. I was pulling for Cleveland a little bit because as far as the skill that they have there, he probably wouldn't have played if he was injured or not. But he had a better chance at winning a ring, and that's all I really care to see this year.
Is Ben Simmons win a ring?
It's up there with a handful of other things, but
They freed Ben Simmons till it was backwards. Now we're about to see him be on the Clippers, man. I'm hoping he's gonna get some playing time and try to get back to that Philly form. Because if he could get somehow back to that Philly form, that would be amazing, man.
yeah, we passed that.
I
Yeah, I
know.
think we're too far gone. I'll be honest with you.
I feel like at the start of any conversation that we have about Ben Simmons, I pretty much just say the same thing, which is exactly what Victor said. I hope he does play a little bit better this season, and I hope he does, make at least somewhat of an impact. I don't care if he wins a ring. Um, yeah, I mean, Ben Simmons to the Clippers could work out, could see something special happen there, but the most likely scenario, Clippers and out in four.
Yeah. For
Oh,
how
dang.
for how little he's played, at least he hasn't gotten fat. He has that going for him. He's still in pretty good shape. And like he has back injuries, bro. That sits you down for a while. So he's doing
Yeah.
something. Ozempic. I
I
don't know.
I was really hoping the Lakers would get him in the just in like the center talk. This was obviously before the Mark Williams trade got rescinded, which we'll get into in a second here. But I really wanted the Lakers to sign him because he is that guy who, despite his offensive woes, he is one of those defensive versatile players, and he's 6'10", like he could guard centers. He's got a big body, so
He'll,
um, they whiffed
he'll
on
fit
that.
in.
We
He'll
could have
fit into that
finally got
Clippers culture though, with the defense.
True. What were you gonna say, Daniel?
we could have finally gotten LeBron and LeBron 2.0 on the same team. That would have been sick.
Hey, hey, LeBron. Ben
Hey, that would have
Simmons is
been.
here. We're good.
Pass me the rock, LeBron.
Bro, that might be the greatest media clip of all time. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The Colin
Yeah, I
Coward
seen
clip.
that.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Hey,
That's
LeBron.
gonna go down as one of the craziest takes.
Ben Simmons is here. We're good.
You can
That's
retire.
insane.
So seriously, too. The
Bro,
league's
that's
in good
insane.
hands.
I can't even I can't even Google search what Ben Simmons' new contract is. Is he getting paid?
Ben
I
Simmons
can't
is
find
now
anything.
actively paying to be in the NBA.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
can't
didn't
find
actually
anything.
look at his. It would be impossible for us to start this podcast without talking about our mascot. OG fans know we've been rolling with Ben Simmons since day one. So
Oh,
we are average Ben Simmons enjoyers on this podcast.
I just found that they're paying him in high fives.
Shut the...
High fives and high noons. That's his contract right now.
If I didn't
That's
know any better,
crazy.
I'd believe you because I can't find anything.
Is this trade even real? Was this an NBA Centel? Did we get Centelled again live on the
No.
pod? That'd be crazy. Oh, all right, fellas. Let's move on from who should be the new logo of the NBA. And let's move on to a controversy that happened after the trade deadline. So, after trading Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic, the Lakers went after a center. That center was Mark Williams of the Charlotte Hornets, young guy out of Duke, athletic center, but has barely played in all three of his seasons. I think he's played around 30 games. One season, I think he only played 19 games in his 3 or 4 years in the NBA. I'm pretty sure it's 3 years. Injury prone center that I guess the Hornets wanted to move on from in terms of the LaMelo Mark Williams situation here. So the trade went down, and it was Mark Williams from the Hornets, and the Lakers gave up Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, a 2031 first round pick, which is one of their only pieces of draft capital in the near future, and a 2030 first round pick swap. So turns out Mark Williams failed the physical. I'm sure most of you guys listening have heard about this. Mark Williams failed his physical, and the foot's not healthy as well. So the NBA just rescinded the trade. Everyone pass go, collect $200. We're right back where we started here. So, fellas, how does this impact the Lakers? And it is a significant impact in my opinion. But what is your guys' thoughts, Victor? What do you think?
I thought when the Lakers made this trade that Mark Williams could be a piece that they were looking for to pair up with Luka, have that like a little bit of a lob threat. I thought it could have been good for them. And when they rescinded it, I was like, damn, that sucks. But I mean, at least they get Dalton Connect back. They were high on him. He was playing pretty good this year. Um, as far as what else they could do is, I mean, this is going to give Jackson Hayes a little bit more time to play with Luka. I was always pretty interested in seeing how he can develop with some better playmakers, and you get Luka Doncic there. I'm sure he's going to be able to play a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, dude, Mark Williams has never played more than 43 games in the season. So it could be for the better in terms of what they're giving up for what you're going to get and the availability of Mark Williams. But I'm starting to believe that the Lakers made a few calls to Mr. Adam Silver and said, hey, that trade, scratch it. Because in those couple games, dude, I saw Jackson Hayes, probably over exaggeration, but I saw him get like 100 freaking two-hand glass blocks on the other team's point guard. He could turn it out pretty
Dude,
good.
he played out of his mind. I saw the same thing. That
Bro
first
just
game
needed a
with Luka
chance.
on the bench.
Dude, if
He-
you guys have never seen his G League highlights, you should look him up because in the G League, he was so nice. Blocking shots, dunking everything. It was insane.
He had one of the greatest summer league dunks of all time. I remember the year he got drafted. Did he come from Texas? I think he came out of Texas, didn't he? Am I tripping on that? Anyway, that's actually not important. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But yeah, he has one of the greatest summer league dunks. If you haven't seen that, please go look that up because bro just put his oh he went to A&M. No, he didn't.
No, he went to
Texas at
Texas.
he
Austin.
went to Texas.
He was a
Texas, yeah.
Longhorn.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Texas. Yeah, bro just like stuck his knee into someone's chest and just like put him on the floor. One of the craziest dunks I've ever seen. But Daniel, what's your opinion on Jackson Hayes?
On-
He's going to be the starting center on the Lakers, yeah.
He is. Yeah.
He's a starting center on the Lakers.
They're
That's
Started
also
the past few
crazy.
games.
Well, I actually real quick wanted to ask a question. What is the like benefit? And I'm asking because I don't really understand of like waiting so far to the deadline to make these trades. Like especially because of a situation like this, which my understanding is like, oh, because what I had seen a lot of the NBA community say is that the Hornets basically fleeced the Lakers, like knowing that he wasn't going to pass the physical and put him in a position where they were going to be out of luck to basically acquire a center which they needed. So like my question is like why do teams do that? I'm genuinely asking.
I mean, I feel like it could be like a sense of urgency thing. I mean, you have up until, in this case, it was like what, February 9th at 3 p.m. Like, you're not going to make these trades the first month or two into the season. So, sense of urgency, injuries, where you're at the halfway point into the season, like, you have all this time. It's not something that you have to do right away. And it only takes a couple of people to make some trades, be like, all right, send it. That idea that came across the table, call them back up. We'll do it again. So, I don't know. It's more so of like, what's the rush rather than like, why so late?
It's also the urgency, like I like you said, the urgency thing because you don't know like what teams are going to call. Like you might not even consider a trade, and then a team calls you with a potential trade for you, and you just like it ultimately will determine like what direction you're going to take. Like for example, like the Mavs approaching the Lakers with Luka Doncic. Like Rob Pelinka did not see that coming, and now he gets that trade offer, and now we're redirecting the entire franchise. So it's also like there's like a mystery factor of like you don't really know what's going to get offered. You know the value of your guys, but you don't know who's looking, what they're going to give up for them. Um, so it really comes down to that urgency at the deadline, I would
When
say.
I first saw this, like I honestly my first thought was I wonder if teams will start to keep this kind of situation in mind when, making trades and stuff like that. Because I don't know. I'm like to answer your question, like we talked about it last week, but I don't necessarily think the Lakers are like I don't think that like anything really changes for them. We kind of knew that they weren't going to be contenders, I think, at the end of this season unless they got something crazy. And Mark Williams, I think, was a little bit of a inspiration of hope or like a glimmer of hope that they could go far. But I don't think it was going to turn the tide as much as maybe people think. So yeah, I mean, how Jackson Hayes, I think it'll just pan out well for them. I think he'll get some minutes, and I think that um, hopefully, I mean, it'll encourage him a little bit to play to his fullest potential, not knowing that his spot's in jeopardy.
Well,
I think maybe go ahead, actually.
I was just say I know the Lakers are also looking to sign some other big men that are free agents. Some of the names that came up have been Dwight Howard, DeMarcus Cousins. Just off the top of my head, I think there's a couple that
No
I'm
way
missing.
DeMarcus Cousins came up.
He
No
was on that
way.
list. Yeah,
I know Daniel Tice came up.
yeah, that was
Moses
another one.
Brown. Moses Brown came up. There's one that's like actually pretty solid that I'm just not thinking of, but that's crazy. They actually considered DeMarcus Cousins. Hasn't he been retired for
Oh,
like 3 years now?
Chris Boucher. Think is this the right one?
No, Chris Boucher is
Yeah, I know he's yeah, that's why I was gonna say like
he's
there's no
firmly on
way.
the.
Maybe he has a buyout option. Yeah, that was a
Uh,
buyout option.
they're fine with Hayes. I would not take Boucher. What? I
Hey,
would have
he's having a good
expected them.
season.
That's I don't care. They should have made a call or two for Big Val. He made it to California, but not the team that he should have went to.
Um, I was gonna say I didn't really think of this, but as I was pondering on this while you guys were talking, I was thinking. So I don't really see. I think Mark Williams is injuries, right? I'm pretty sure that kind of just nerfs him to Jackson Hayes' level. Everyone wants to say like Mark Williams is an upgrade from Jackson Hayes. To be honest with you, I don't really see it. They're both lob threat centers. I think Mark Williams is good defensively, but I think his defense is slightly overrated. I don't, and he doesn't play games. So it's like, all right, what are we really comparing here? So maybe here's this. I don't know if you guys thought about this. Were the Lakers trying to build similar to what Luka had in Dallas, where it's like Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, but Jackson Hayes and Mark Williams, just a younger version of those two players? Well, I guess Derek Lively's really young. Okay, maybe not a younger version, but like a different,
A
maybe
worse
more
version.
athletic. Yeah, like a worse, like a developmental version of what they had.
It was a situation that he succeeded a lot in, and that you could. It's definitely achievable. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like it's kind of accurate to say like, hey, we saw this worked in Dallas. I mean, you took that team to the finals. Like, if we're able to do that here, you're 25. We have you for a while, considering you re-sign. Jackson Hayes being like 23, 24 years old, as well as Mark Williams, like him being really young, but not being tapped into his full potential. The same way that Gafford was when he came over to Dallas, being on Chicago, being on Washington, and they're like, yeah, he's solid, but
Mm,
how good can he be? So I feel like there was some they had their eyes on it.
that's
Yeah,
interesting
I mean,
because I just put that together. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, yeah, when you put it together like that, and then also with the caveat of now he's paired with LeBron, I think that makes the most sense. They're not gonna want to change it or like try to develop Luka into their system when they can just do exactly what you're describing. That sounds like a more efficient use of both guys.
I'm just worried, like, what is the conversation gonna be with like Dalton Connect, where he's like, bro, I was hooping for y'all. Like, I was in Rookie of the Year conversations, and they dished him for Mark Williams. Like, that guy could be a piece, bro, in the future. I know you're desperate for a center, but they also gave up the 2031 pick that they had, which is one of their only pieces of draft capital. Luka couldn't even get that pick. They gave it up for Mark Williams. That was a
Yeah, I
fleece.
mean,
So
this
they
kind
low-key got
of
saved.
this sets up something for the offseason, I think. So now they can package Knecht, Reeves, Reddish, a pick or two, and you trade for Joel Embiid.
Trade back for Anthony Davis. Bring him
Or
back.
or you
Oh
call
wow.
or you call up the Indiana Mad Ants and you go get Jahlil Okafor. Second in G League All-Star votes. 38-point game on 85% field goal.
That's crazy.
NCAA champion in 2015. There's a lot.
Wow. Wow.
How old
Former
is he
New
gonna be
Orleans
now?
Pelicans.
Like 30? No, 28 probably.
All
Right.
rookie first team.
Oh man. That's crazy. I didn't know he had all those accolades, to be honest with
Dude,
you.
dude, he was nice his rookie year, dude. He averaged like 18 and 7. Like he was good. Fell off, but I don't know.
Think
Maybe give that guy a shot.
might as well throw Nerlens Noel in that conversation as well, since we're talking old old Philly centers. Why not? Why won't the Lakers go get Nerlens Noel? I don't see why not.
We did mention Wenyan Gabriel not too long ago. Shout out South
That's
Sudan.
crazy.
I think Lakers are probably one of the most heartless like organizations in maybe in the NBA. Maybe there could be another one, but um, yeah, I don't think it should come as any surprise that they were willing to get rid of Bro. But I will say, I think Lakers fans are probably very happy that we get to watch some I don't have a clever name for it, but Dalton, Reeves, and Luka all playing on the court at the same time together. I know for a fact people are dying to see that.
Yeah. Um,
Hey, we
I
gotta
just
queue
think,
up. Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I say we gotta queue up Dalton Connect Charlotte Hornets highlights. We gotta put them up on the pod.
Never missed a shot, never lost a game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did he
undefeated.
play? Did he
No.
play?
No, I was just
Oh.
messing around. It was like the
I
Vince
I was
Carter,
think oh,
when
okay.
he went to the Hawks.
That reminds me of or Melo's Hawks debut. What ultimately this reminds me of is LiAngelo Ball in his brief Pistons tenure, where it's like thank you Jello, or I'm sorry, not LaMelo, LiAngelo Ball in his Pistons tenure, where it's like thank you Jello, and they posted a picture of him making a reverse layup in practice. Have you seen that in the
I
Detroit
have.
practice jersey,
It's
I
bro?
so messed up.
It's like, thank you, Jello. It's literally just a layup. That was his only clip. They cut him. Oh, dang,
I miss
bro. We might
I
have to
miss when there
track that
was
down.
I miss when there was actual hope that Jello was going to make it in the NBA. I used to watch NBA videos or YouTube videos of people talking about like this is what recent what Jello's chances are of making this tryout happen for him. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I would watch those videos. Oh.
All right, fellas. Let's move on to the next trade here. Um, Passing that bonkers sellout Mark Williams trade that the Lakers tried to do. Let's talk the next trade here on our list. A four-team trade. To summarize before I give the details, this is essentially the Khris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma trade. Bucks making a deadline move, trying to add more scoring, more athleticism to their lineup. So here's the details. The Bucks have received Jericho Sims, Kyle Kuzma, 2025 second, four. Washington got Khris Middleton, AJ Johnson from the Spurs, a 2028 first round pick swap. The Knicks got DeLon Wright in cash. Spurs got Pat Baldwin Jr. in cash. So this is essentially the Middleton Kuzma trade. Is kind of how we're gonna go. But fellas, what's your initial thoughts? Kev, wait, what do you think? Okay, Daniel, what do you think?
Oh,
We
I
lost Big
I
Bro.
I didn't have my camera on or not camera on, but I didn't have the picture of Kevin on. So I just didn't hear him talk.
He
Um
just went blurry as soon as
yeah.
I asked. All
Um
right, he'll be back. He'll be back.
yeah.
We'll carry without him.
No. As for Middleton, I think it'll only be a matter of time before he's back on the Bucks. Honestly, I think he's gonna be like two. I'm
That's
I'm mostly
crazy.
just kidding. I just think that like the Bucks have a thing for him. They'll make he'll make his way back to them. But no, I mean, yeah, the Bucks have to do something, and Kuz is obviously a good addition. We'll see if he's able to shake the boat a little bit. As for Middleton, I mean, how many more good years does he have out of him to offer?
I mean, he lost his starting spot this year, so but he has had some decent games. Not that that's gonna ultimately matter too much because it's everyone has their decent games, but he's definitely on the tail end of his career. How old is Khris Middleton actually? I was gonna say like 34.
I
He's
think he's
younger than we would
31.
think because I
Oh, he's
remember
only
because
31.
I'm
Wow,
pretty sure.
I didn't
I'm
realize.
I'm gonna look it up. He's 33. Okay.
okay.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say 31's way too young for him.
I'm not gonna lie though, every time I see Khris Middleton, I think that he's at 38, like at least, but that may just be because I'm dumb. Yeah, I really wonder what Washington's going for, honestly, doing
Well,
this.
they said that they wanted to bring in Khris Middleton and Marcus Smart to be able to like help some of their young guys like have a veteran presence and develop. So they wanted to bring those two guys in because I mean they have Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, um, Bub
Bub
Carrington.
Carrington.
Yeah, Bub Carrington. some of those guys. They wanted to bring those veteran presence in. And then one thing I wanted to ask you guys because I'm having trouble finding it. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was with Giannis when I think they talked to him about the trade for trading Khris Middleton, and he was okay with it, which was I think that's pretty cool that the Bucks involved him and being able to make those decisions with him because we didn't see that for the Luka trade. Nobody knew on the Mavericks organization except Nico Harrison.
Yeah, that's a good point. I did not see the comments that Giannis had. I might have missed that, but um, I know that. I mean, they won a championship together. They go way back. I'm sure Middleton strikes me as a mature player, someone who would understand that like his role is diminished. He understands that the league is a business, and I think that factors into why the Wizards may have wanted him as a veteran. I think he's definitely he's a very smart, high IQ player. Um, he played to Giannis's strengths, adjusted his game to meet Giannis's strengths. We saw when he returned from injury this year just how much their offense changed with him in the lineup. And I think just something as simple as like throwing the ball where Giannis wants it. It was a noticeable difference. So, smart player. I think he'll be fine in Washington. Obviously, they're not going to win anything. Great veteran. Marcus Smart is also a great veteran there. We'll get into that trade in a little bit, but Kuzma for the Bucks, I think it's a winning move. Now, I just watched their game. Um, who'd they play? It was their last game. Can't remember who they played now. But Kuzma was taking some crazy shots, bro. And I think it's a good thing for them. I think it's a good thing for them. And hear me out on this take. I think that they just need someone who can create offense that's not Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo in their lineup. And even if he's coming off the bench, it just gives you someone you can mix in to like having, if you want to stagger Dame and Giannis, I don't think the Bucks necessarily do that as much, but if you stagger Dame and Giannis, it just gives you a second option on the floor at all times. And it's someone who could put the ball in the hoop. And I really like that for them, even if Kuzma takes some questionable shots. But what do you guys think of the Kuzma on the Bucks fit?
No idea if I can be seen, but the show must go on. Shut up, Victor. So
Bro came,
Wait, no,
he's
wait.
got a full black box. I didn't even
I
know
was-
he was here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
be
didn't
honest.
even know he
I've been
was
here.
here.
I've been here the whole time. No idea what's happening. Show goes on. And you knew what you were doing, kicking that trade to me first, because you knew I had a lot of stuff to say. I think
know.
it worked out for the better that I might have cut out. Kuzma trash. I was watching that game and I was like, oh my God. He just
Who were
immediately
they
started
playing?
pulling. They were playing Philly.
Philly. Yeah, that's who it was. That's
Yeah.
who it was.
They had Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as far as man, I kept the vibe going here, huh? But as far as Middleton complimented Giannis so well. I know we're not talking about that, but remember, man dropped 40 in the finals for them. It
That's
took him
true.
to win that game. I have to give respect to Cash Money Middleton. But as far as Kyle Kuzma, yeah, he does give them kind of like a little bit of an offensive kickstart. He does take his questionable shots, but he'll have those moments where he'll start hitting. My thing is, if he can be somewhat kind of sort of consistent in the playoffs, I'd consider it a winning move at the very least. Just be consistent, some kind of consistent.
Mhm.
Personally, I think maybe adding Kuz is a little bit just adding more fuel to the flame of them being a fairly offensive loaded team. Maybe I think Kuz is a good addition, and like you said, space it out a little bit more in terms of who's getting defended and a lot of different things. But personally, I don't love the move.
Yeah, one thing I will bring up is his shooting has just fallen off a cliff this year, man. He's shooting the lowest percentage of his career from the field at 42% here. he's also shooting by far the lowest percentage from three at 28%. That's pretty bad. It's a really bad 3-point percentage. And for a guy who they want to score and spread the floor and be a threat, it's a little questionable. I would really like him to play or to shoot better from three so that they could spread the floor for Giannis. And I still am not convinced that he's a guy you could quite help off of yet, but we'll see because that's something that teams will definitely take advantage of in the playoffs. And like Kevin said, if he's going to be consistent in the playoffs, that's going to ultimately mean the most. So we'll see how that pans out.
I know another reason the Bucks did this trade was for them to get under the second apron. So this allowed them to get a little bit more money, and maybe in the offseason they're going to sign some more pieces. But I mean, as far as Kuzma, man, I think this trade could be good, like you said, if he's going into that like third option. I don't think he on the Wizards, him being either a first or second option was great for him. But if he's that third option on there, I'm sure he can go and get a bucket here and there. I mean, not shoot great. So, I mean, hopefully he's not taking too many shots, but
Yeah.
other than that.
I mean, I've been saying it the past 2 seasons. That Bucks championship window is closing, especially for Giannis. It's getting thinner. It's getting a lot
Yeah,
thinner, but I don't know if
I think
Kuzma
it's
was the winning move.
close. I think it's close, bro. I don't think they're contenders.
I said that 2 years ago, not to you guys, but I said not 2 years ago, like a year and a half ish ago, I said I don't know if Giannis, if that window for him to win another championship is open anymore. I kind of predicted like we saw him win a ring, like that's it. I feel like a lot of people call me crazy, but it's not looking so crazy.
Well, I mean, are you saying like in Milwaukee though? Like if he leaves Milwaukee right now or eventually,
And goes where?
I don't know, somewhere that gives him a better chance. Like, are you like I'm guessing you're not saying that
Say a
Giannis
team.
is done.
Say a team.
Um,
Let's
The
have fun with
Heat,
it.
the Heat.
No.
Mavs.
Dallas. So you got Gafford, Lively, AD, and Giannis.
Well, you'd
Wow.
probably
Try
trade
that.
away
Try the
Lively and
Rockets. The Rockets will be a fit that'll work.
Okay. So we got Fred. But at this point, let's say it's at the back end of Giannis's career. So we got Reed Shepard, Jalen Green, we got Sengun, we got Giannis. That could work.
Hey, man.
I think my point is that like Milwaukee may have like extended the clock for Giannis leaving by bringing in Dame, but I don't think he's staying there. I think he knows as well as all of us that his window is closing and he needs to go somewhere that's going to give him a better opportunity to win.
I think he might have a good chance at winning a ship as a second option on a team,
Ooh.
which is kind of
Whoa.
crazy to
Whoa.
say him being a second option. I'm saying in the twilight years of his career. Everyone takes a back seat at some point in their career. Besides KD, but ain't nobody KD.
It could work out like you said in the twilight years. Well, I guess not twilight years. It would have to be in the next like 3 or 4 if the Jimmy situation goes well in Golden State.
I have no comments. We're talking
Yeah,
like
yeah.
8 years out from now. I have nothing to add here. I have no idea what will transpire with Giannis in 8 years. But that's an interesting take saying because I think it's very possible if he's the second option on a in his twilight years. That's like it's like Shaq on the Heat kind of deal. That'd be pretty sweet to see. Uh,
That's what I'm saying.
um,
Pretty damn good second option.
But it'll be a healthy
yeah,
Shaq. It won't be like Celtic Shaq. It'll be like a new version of that.
nah, bro. Shaq on the Heat won a chip.
Oh, I thought you
He's the
said the
second
Celtics.
option. No, no, no. Heat Shaq.
Daniel
Oh.
Um,
said Celtics Shaq.
Yeah, because I thought he said Celtic Shaq, but he
Oh,
said Heat.
okay.
no, I said Heat Shaq. I said Heat Shaq. Um, yeah, Q-tip might fix your ears, but let's move on to the next trade here. that unfortunately I lost the document to. So, Victor, if you would like to read the next trade so that we can keep the flow of the pod going, that would be a great help to
Yeah.
your boy.
Yeah, so this third trade we got was the Wizards get Colby Jones, Alex Len, Marcus Smart, 2025 first round pick. And the Grizzlies get Marvin Bagley, Johnny Davis, 2025 second round pick, 2028 second round pick. And then Kings get Jake LaRavia. So, Miles, what are your thoughts on this? Because Marcus Smart is your boy, former Celtics
Dude,
legend.
I'm glad you passed this to me first, even though I just yapped. Um, dude, I'm really sad to see Marcus Smart's career pretty much. I'm not gonna say it's dead, but this guy was like the third option on a Celtics team that went to however many conference finals in a row. Um, and it's just really sad to see. He was injured a lot of his time in Memphis, and I think this move for Memphis was we know the thing with Memphis. They have so much depth. They have so many guys on the roster that play minutes for them. And I think Marcus Smart was just the one guy that doesn't quite fit their timeline and is kind of aging out of what they originally acquired him for. Um, so I think ultimately we saw Marcus Smart lose his starting spot to Jalen Wells. He said it was, the veteran move of framing it as, oh yeah, I took a back seat so that Jalen Wells could shine. Nah, bro. Taylor Jenkins told you to sit your ass on the bench. Let's be honest. But Jalen Wells took a spot. You also got guards like Scottie Pippen Jr. coming up as solid defenders and better 3-point shooters. Marcus Smart, obviously known for shooting up bricks. Um, Also, it looks like he put on a little bit of weight this year. Maybe it's the haircut. Maybe it's going back to the buzz cut. Could be wrong on that. Don't quote me
feel
on
like
that. But
I feel like he's always looked a little bit chubby though.
he has. But this year, this year's a little bit different. I feel like this year he looks a little bigger than he should. But yeah, it's just
Stocky.
it makes sense. He didn't fit their timeline. Um, like I said, he was probably a great veteran for them. Clearly not a good enough veteran to stay on the roster, but it just sucks, man. I think if the Celtics could somehow find a way to bring him back, because obviously his value isn't nearly as high as it was. Like this guy was a defensive player of the year. So if the Celtics could bring him back and give up like minimal assets for him, I think that would be a huge, huge move for them. Um, Even if he doesn't play nearly as many minutes, but uh, I think of him as like Daniel Tice, where like you're only good on the Celtics type of situation there.
The Celtics, I say they give JD Davidson the call up. That way you could trade for Smart. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, dude, like I kind of predict these random trades that could happen. Don't call me crazy. But obviously Marcus Smart being kind of the topic of discussion here is ever since he got traded from Boston, it's just kind of fallen off a cliff for him. And it sucks because he was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, watching him on Boston just kind of just watching his game elevate and just take off over the years, like I didn't see it coming. Like I don't know if he like used to be trash or if I just thought he was, but like his in his twilight years with Boston, like he was just so good for them. Playmaking, shooting. Obviously, he was a defensive player of the year. We know that. I'm kind of praying this guy can find his groove again because I mean he's in Washington coming off injuries, hasn't really been himself. A little older. We determine he's a little pudgier. I'm hoping his career doesn't die. I'm really hoping
Mm.
that. I'm praying for the guy.
I don't know. Adam
Yeah.
Silver issued him a life sentence, sending him to Washington, man.
Well, so a second ago, I said I really don't know what Washington is going for here, but the more that Miles, you and Kevin and all of you guys reminded me of how good Chris Middleton is because he is one of those players that I think gets kind of caught in the background. You don't notice as much of what he's doing because of the guys that he's sharing the floor with. But that being said, he does make a really big impact. And like, what better veteran would you want to have than a guy like that on a mostly young core, pretty much? And then you also add in Marcus Smart, who comes from an organization that is very like he comes from, I don't know, Marcus Smart fits very well within a system, and if he can bring even like a fraction of that like leadership that came from the Celtics, let's say, I think it could really work out for Washington's favor. Now, to me, I think when I say I don't know what they're going for, I would say it's that long, you know, we kind of have not trust, but we have some confidence in the guys that we have, and we want to build from here. We're not in any rush, basically.
I
Mm.
like that point you
I
brought
think
up of Marcus Smart being like a good leader and stuff. Because when he was on the Celtics, he was really a big voice in the locker room, and he made his presence known. And I think putting him on the Wizards can make him, you know, like teach these young guys and everything, because and be that voice for them and help them develop in the NBA. But as far as like the other side of the trade, I was kind of shocked that the Grizzlies gave up Jake LaRavia. What do you guys think about that?
uh Jake LaRavia, man. A lot of promise. My initial thinking is it had to be someone, right? It had to be someone because they're giving up Marcus Smart, who's making $20 million for, I mean, when you look at the outlook of the trade, you're getting back Marvin Bagley, Johnny Davis. Uh, they're probably not going to be on the roster for much longer. So, uh, it was clearly a contract move, but to do that, to dump that salary, it took Jake LaRavia. So Jake LaRavia was kind of the sacrifice for what they wanted to do there. But ultimately, I think a lot of it has to do with Gigi Jackson coming back because now Gigi Jackson is going to be that guy for them. Um, they still have Luke Kennard. They still got that shooter that could stretch the floor. John Conchar, who went to Purdue Fort Wayne. I did not know
Hmm.
that. Kevin, did you know John Conchar went to Purdue Fort Wayne?
I if that was a multiple choice question on a test, I would not pick it, even like as a
Yeah,
joke. Like they draft out of there.
yeah. From Purdue Fort Wayne. Yeah, I'm
That's
looking at their roster, going through like
That's
their forward depth,
Kevin's
and
about
that's
to
what I
go.
saw.
because
Kevin's about to go re-enroll.
because because we thought it was crazy that George Hill went to IUPUI. So what
Hmm.
stats was this dude putting up?
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's just jumping out of the gym every time he plays.
But yeah, I mean, Jake LaRavia was having a great season, knocking down threes. Obviously, uh, Kevin always brings up that he was the G League Defensive Player of the Year. I think that was last year, 2 years ago, one of those two. But ultimately, man, to dump Smart's salary, it took someone to give up. So Jake LaRavia, I'm sure that it stings that the Grizzlies had to give him up for that, but it does open up that salary to bring in someone with more tenure and someone better. So I'm not really upset with it, but it still sucks. It's going to come down to who they get.
He only averaged 19 points at Purdue Fort Wayne. I don't think that's the response you were looking for me to give you right here, but I'm just still baffled by that. I'm sorry.
What's
Like,
crazy is I had a high school teammate try out for Purdue Fort Wayne and like almost got a walk-on spot. And you're telling me they're drafting people out of Purdue Fort Wayne? That's kind of
bro,
crazy, bro.
bro's punching his walls right now. He could have been in the league.
Yeah, he didn't quite make it, but he made it to like the final cut. And I think he was like first one out to make it, which
Ah,
is that yeah, that's insane. Um, but yeah, he was like a 6'4" power forward too. So I don't really know like how did it's actually an anomaly that Conchar is he got drafted out of Purdue Fort Wayne. But okay. Any final thoughts on this trade? I don't think there's too much to talk about here. I just think it's a simple salary dump.
Do we think
yeah.
the Kings are a 9 or a 10 seed now? I'm kidding.
I you know what? I'm glad you said that because Jake LaRavia is exactly someone who they needed. we talked about how they're exclusively offense now that they have Zach LaVine, and Keon Ellis is pretty much their only like guard versatile defender. But Jake LaRavia is now on the roster. So
Big Val.
they did address that that defensive versatility a little bit. So that's interesting. And he fits the timeline for them. So
They look
I don't even
strong.
I don't
They
know
like
what their timeline is actually, to be honest.
I don't think they know either.
Because you got like DeMar DeRozan on the roster
Hey,
still.
they're just trying to build a 2021, 2022 Bulls, trying to recreate that.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Take Pat Williams.
Dude, we talk about it every pod. When Pat Williams gets traded, he's gonna break out. I promise you, when he gets traded, he's breaking out.
I think there's a better chance my camera starts working.
Vic, you need to put in like a picture from
I
Kevin's
was
Instagram, just
no
like
no.
in his.
So I was giving it a lot of thought. No, don't do anything. Don't do a picture of an
Just
NBA
like-
player. Do like an animated like panda or bear or anything like that. Just like something extremely simple. Trust me. Don't do a photo of him. Don't do anything like that. Just do a little bear, like in the middle of the fucking screen, in the middle of the screen.
Do the AI shark playing ball.
Oh, in the
Yeah,
woods.
That
Oh,
that's
dude, that's
that's the only one
perfect.
that's the only one
That's
I
perfect.
sign off on.
Dude, when he started talking from the black screen, I was blown away,
Yeah,
bro.
that was
I had
that
no
was a,
idea he was here.
Dude, yeah,
I thought
I
he was
heard
like
everything the whole time.
Bro, you just told me to shut up out of nowhere. I was like, damn, all
Yeah,
right.
he's like, "Shut up, Victor." He had to get his Kuzma take off.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was like knuckle deep, like fixing his like camera and stuff, and he was just fuming over
I
Kuzma.
I was like trying to figure this out, and then there was like 1 second of dead space because y'all were keeping it rolling, and then Victor. It had to be Victor. It shouldn't have been, but it was. I was
All right,
hoping it was
fellas.
Daniel.
Yeah, that would have been funny. All right. Oh, let's tighten the screws here. Let's get into the next trade. We got Hawks receiving Karis LeVert, George Niang, 3 second-round picks, 2 pick swaps for DeAndre Hunter. Sent him to the Cavs. Fellas, what does this mean for the Cavs? Daniel, did the Cavs get better or did they lose depth? I think the answer is obvious, but maybe not as obvious as I think it is.
I'm gonna go with the latter option. I think they lost a li-
That was not what I was thinking, but go off. Go off. Go ahead.
no, I mean, like I think we kind of talked about it earlier. I don't think that the Cavs necessarily, made any mistakes. I think they know what they have, they know how strong they are, and they're just kind of trying things. So I don't think they lost anything serious. But I also don't think that this is like a difference maker. So I don't know. I think they're kind of just in the same place that they were previously. But again, they're trying something. So maybe there's something I'm not seeing.
I still believe that Karis LeVert was the immature one Donovan Mitchell was talking about.
It has to be him, bro.
I
Like
don't know what it is, but it must be Karis LeVert.
OG fans remember that moment. If you remember that moment, that's crazy. That's an OG fan when Donovan Mitchell made those comments, the
Man.
maturity of the team, and we all decided it was Karis LeVert because he wears too many accessories, essentially, and he's a young guy. Go ahead, Vic.
I was just saying, man, nobody, especially after all those immature comments and stuff, nobody expected the Cavs to have this type of season. And they
True.
finally got rid of the problem. But um, as far as the trade, man, does this like what happened with the Hawks? Like, what are they doing? Because it seems like after Jalen Johnson got hurt, they just decided to like
Chalk
go
the season.
chalk the season. They got rid of Bogdanovich. I mean, granted, he's having a down year. They just got rid of DeAndre Hunter. I really don't know what kind of direction they're going. It seems like you said, like just being like, all right, maybe next year.
I think we've seen the Bulls and the Hawks fight for the 9 and 10 seed every year the past few years. It's the battle of the mids. Like it's fact. And we've seen both of them be like, you know what? Let's just be a little bit worse than mid this year. We'll just make some moves because obviously with Bogdanovich having a down year, Jalen Johnson going down, the chances of even possibly making the play in they're done. So we might as well just get a better draft pick, seeing what we can get. Khris LeVert might be able to put together some good games, but DeAndre Hunter going to Cleveland, that's a sick trade for Cleveland. He's having a really, really good year.
Yeah, he's
Am
increased his
I
points from 15 to 19 this year. He's starting to have a little bit of a breakout season for himself, man. Really great pickup by the Cavs.
is it crazy that I think this trade is better on paper than what it actually is? Because DeAndre Hunter in this situation is going to be a lot different than DeAndre Hunter on the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah,
DeAndre Hunter is going to be at the mercy of being a fifth option now. And yes, that like his stats don't necessarily matter. It's how he plays his role. So we're going to see a stat decline no matter what. But I like the idea of having two guys who are solid players, both are versatile defenders over just one. And I don't really care if he's better. Like, yes, DeAndre Hunter's having a crazy season. And on paper, it's like, wow, the Cavs just got arguably the sixth man of the year this year. They just added more depth. But, like, he's not going to be as good as he was on the Hawks, on the Cavs. And I think just having LeVert and Niang, two extremely solid players, is just it's people aren't giving them enough credit. They just see the box score stats on DeAndre Hunter and assume it's a lot better.
yeah, I do see what you're saying, and that's a very fair point. But I think what Cleveland needed, so in my opinion, I don't think they had this. I feel like they do now with DeAndre Hunter. So obviously they know that he's not going to be what he was on their team as he was for Atlanta, but he's now an X factor for them. I felt like they didn't really have that before he got there. So because we see it a lot of times, like whenever we see Cleveland playing on primetime TV, we saw him play the Celtics, we saw him play OKC. It was either Mitchell or Garland that was having a bad game. But what did Garland shoot against Boston, their first loss of the season? Like 3 for 21.
Yeah, he
Just
only
had an
had
absolute horrendous game.
Yeah.
It was something along those lines. It doesn't matter. Either way, there's kind of some like relief that there's somebody else on offense that could possibly give us like a little bit of a spark if someone's having a down game. I feel
Mm,
like Khris LeVert and Niang aren't able to do that at the level that DeAndre Hunter might.
yeah. Um, yeah, you have a fair point. You have a fair point there.
Mic drop. Speechless, all you.
no, because I was just saying I
Nothing
did
left to
like
be said.
Miles's point, and then after you brought that up, that was a great point too. So I was trying to let it
Well, I
simmer
I
in.
think I think he I think it will honestly be a good transition for him too. I mean, the buckets in Cleveland get distributed very well. It seems like everyone's in the double digits normally, and the rock just gets distributed pretty evenly. So I think honestly, just comparing the situation that he's going from in Atlanta to Cleveland, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, honestly, in terms of like his performance. If anything, I think he's going to play at an even higher level.
Yeah. I mean, one person that immediately jumped to my mind was Derek White. I mean, when I saw the Celtics were getting Derek White, I was like, morons. Like, it's Derek White. Who cares? And then he ended up being sick for them. So it could be a very similar scenario being around high level basketball players. I mean, you could even say 4 NBA All Stars damn near. We could
Yeah.
see his game get elevated, not because he got better, because he's just around so much better talent than he was in Atlanta. That stuff matters.
Yeah. I think the thing for me is like both Niang and Levert were 40% three-point shooters. And obviously playing on the Cavs, they're going to shoot the hell out of the three ball. And I think that spacing, just having two guys on the floor, is better than having DeAndre Hunter, who takes more mid-range shots than Levert and Niang. Like he's going to spend more time creating his shots than spreading the floor. And I know Karis LeVert can create shots, but he was kind of I feel like he was adapting to that 3-point role more and more each season. But
Can
that's kind of where I'm coming from on this.
can I pose you a question? Can let's say Cleveland is in the let's say the conference finals and they're in a sticky situation. It's like 3-3. Let's say it's tied 6-6 going into game 7. Would you still agree with your statement that you would rather have Yang and Levert over DeAndre Hunter in that situation?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying I would rather have them. I'm just saying like I don't think this trade is as big of a move as people are saying it is.
That
I
I
just
think that.
think
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I think they're both solid defenders. Niang isn't the greatest versatile defender because he's bigger, but he's big. He has a body. He can guard bigger players. So it's like you have a guy who can guard 1 through 3, and then a guy who can guard all four and fives, and they're both 40% three-point shooters, and they're role players. They play their role. I just feel like DeAndre Hunter, it's good to have another creator. I just don't think they necessarily needed that, having Mitchell, Mobley, and Garland like already creating all the offense is kind of where
I,
I'm coming from.
Right. And the only reason why I bring that very specific scenario up is because it kind of goes back to my earlier point of like, I think Cleveland's kind of just trying maybe something a little bit. And this could be the minor difference between them getting across that finish line and not. But it's all opinion.
Yeah. And I think the argument is like, well, Karis LeVert and Niang aren't they're not going to be consistent playoff. Like I don't trust them in the playoffs. But then it's like, well, we haven't really seen DeAndre Hunter
Hmm.
be trusted in the playoffs, at least for some time. I think the last time the Hawks made a deep playoff run was that New York series. And Kevin, what year do you know what year that was? I feel like you would know what year that was. I don't remember.
21.
21. So it's been 4 years. So I'm not really convinced on either side if either of them out of the three players are like high rise playoff performers. So I don't know, man. Well, we'll just have to see, I guess.
I think if he can play his role and if he's able to step up when he needs to minimally, it'll be solid. Also, George Niang is like the only player in NBA history I've seen that has like where his shorts are tight. So we don't got to see that shit no more. Bro, kind of built like a bowling pin. I'm sorry.
And that's not true though.
What about Yabusele? Yabusele's got some big quads.
Yeah, but he lit.
Or or
Yeah, like muscular though, not like you know.
Pushing it.
Bro's going to wearing speedos out there. But what I was gonna
I
say
was
to
gonna
your
say
point. What were you
Kyle
saying?
Lowry. Sorry, Kyle Lowry.
Oh yeah. Um, Miles, I think when you were saying earlier that like this trade looks good on paper and stuff, and everybody's freaking out over it, but I think the reason for that is because the Cavs, their small forward this whole season has either been Max Strus or Dean Wade, and then you put in DeAndre Hunter in there, and then getting Max Strus and Dean Wade off the bench. I think that's the reason why everybody is like, "Oh my God."
I think that they're still going to bring Hunter off the bench.
I think
I
he's.
think that they'll still stick with Dean Wade.
You really think so?
Yeah, dude, Dean Wade is good and he's
No,
versatile. And Hunter is coming off a bench role being a six man of the year. And the only reason Struess was starting was because Dean Wade was hurt. So, I mean, you could look at the depth chart, but that doesn't mean anything until he
no, I know.
plays and we see the lineup.
Oh shit. No, he is coming off the bench.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dean Wade is definitely starting still.
Okay.
Dean Wade's good, bro. Like
No, I know.
it
I'm
would
not.
just it would devalue. I'm not saying you said he was bad. Uh, but it would devalue DeAndre Hunter to start him as a fifth option when you could have him be the third option coming off the bench, mixed in with starting line like starters. He would just I feel like that would be a better situation for him. So it's kind of like a role thing. But yeah, shall we move on?
Ready to
We
talk
got
about the six?
all right. Let's talk about the sixth then. The Toronto Raptors acquire Brandon Ingram, and the Pelicans give up Bruce Brown. Oh, I'm sorry. I am tripping. Let me restart that. Sorry, fans. The Raptors receive Brandon Ingram from the Pelicans for Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, a 2025 second, and a 2026 first round pick. Fellas, anyone could go. Does this move the needle for Toronto? Brandon Ingram?
You take a look at their starting lineup, and it's like it kind of looks decent. They got Quickly, Barrett, Bi, Barnes, and Pirtle. Like when you take a look at that, you're like, that's pretty solid. It's a big lineup.
Hmm.
But then you look at everything else, and then you take a look back at the shooting guard and realize it's RJ Barrett, and you're like, New Orleans might get a pretty good pick out of this. I mean,
Dude, he's been playing
the
good. Come
yeah, he
on.
has, he has. But I mean, Toronto's just like another one of those teams that's kind of like where are they? Whose timeline are we operating in? Bi isn't too old. He was an all-star, but he hasn't exactly been to that level in a couple years now. But man, with Toronto, they could be a really fun team to watch. A frisky but fun team, kind of like the Bulls at the beginning of the year, where they weren't good. They weren't good. They weren't good. They know they aren't good. So we're just gonna run and gun and shoot threes. They could be that. Give some
Yeah,
entertainment to the league.
interesting. Yeah.
The Raptors have had a kind of like a weird season this year. It started off with like Scotty getting hurt, then he started playing point guard. Now they just got Brandon Ingram out of nowhere that nobody expected.
Mm.
I kind of don't understand like how the rest of the season is going to go for them because it seems like they're trying to win. It really does.
There
They
was
got
a
to kick it into full
stretch,
gear.
dude. There was a stretch where I don't remember what his injury was. I think it was a leg injury, but Barnes got hurt, maybe like an ankle injury, and then he got like that facial, like he got hit. Okay, pause on that first. But he got hit in the face, and then came out wearing a face mask. And I swear, I watched like the next three Raptors games, and every game he just would get hit in the face again. Like bro just kept getting hit, like elbowed in the face. He was just getting beat up, bro. And then like he came to one of the games with like the blood vessels popped in his eye, like he had the red eyes. This dude got like Scotty Barnes has got beat up this season, bro. But um I think the biggest thing that came out of this trade is PJ Tucker got out of the Clippers. PJ Tucker is now back on the Toronto Raptors. Welcome home,
Dude, yeah.
PJ.
He
Welcome
was
home,
poor guy.
PJ.
He was okay. I was gonna say something that probably would have been a little too soon. His career was dying in LA.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, and it just wasn't too great for him. So yeah, bro, back to Toronto, notoriously known for holding his opponents to 40 points a game. It's something there, big PJ. But yeah, like Vic said, if the Raptors are in a win now mode, they got to start winning like now, like yesterday, because they're 16 and 37.
I like their depth though. Like Ochai Abaji, off the bench, and he's only on a $4 million contract. He's been super good for them this year. And then obviously Grady Dick started a lot of the season. Now he's coming off the bench, $4 million. You got a shooter off the bench. Um, Mobo has been playing pretty good. Obviously, you have Chris Boucher, who's having himself one of his best seasons this year. So they got some depth pieces, man. I think I don't know if these guys are it. We're gonna have to see how they develop. Obviously, Abaji and Grady Dick still have a long way to go. And Boucher is, I mean, Boucher's 32. I'm pretty sure this is the max we're gonna see from him. But he is coming around, so he could be like that little veteran backup center, maybe play that Al Horford role a little bit if they ever were to contend. But I still think they're a few years away. I don't know if Brandon Ingram actually fits their timeline though.
He does
That
not.
just seemed
I don't
that's
think
what
he
I was
does.
yeah, it's just like a weird. I mean, he's 27, he's just entering his prime, but it's like DeRozan on the Spurs maybe is a good comparison. It's like,
It
yeah, we got something, but we also have this star here who's not going to fit with our timeline. And he's just going to eat up shots. So I don't really know, man. Maybe they just went to get a veteran or something.
it was kind of underwhelming to be honest. Like we've seen BI's name in these trade talks the last couple seasons. So I've been like wondering, like, all right, they're going to trade him, or he's going to leave. He's not going to be on the Pelicans forever. So when he finally got traded, I was like, oh, to Toronto?
Mhm.
Like it could have been anywhere else. Maybe bro could have went to Cleveland.
I'm surprised the Pelicans didn't try to trade for a center. Like, if you want to throw Kelly Olynyk in center conversations, you can. But
I think they're
how
really
tall is
trying to
Kelly
develop.
Olynyk?
I think they're really trying to develop Eve Missy, man.
Well, yeah, but who's their backup?
Shit.
Who's
I
their
mean,
backup center?
we can throw Daniel out there.
Dan, that's what I'm saying. Okay, Kelly Olynyk's 6'11", so I guess technically he could play center. But like, I guess that is the backup center now. I just never took him as a center, but I guess technically he is a center. So I always took him as like a four playing alongside a center. But obviously we know Kelly Olynyk could pass the ball. He could stretch the floor. So maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe he is going to be that guy for them. But I don't know why Bruce Brown at this point in his career also is just like a toss up. I'm pretty sure he spent 90% of his tenure in Toronto hurt, wearing cowboy hats on the bench. And I'm just not convinced that Bruce Brown will ever kind of be healthy again. So, what's your guys' opinion on Bruce Brown? Because he could fit the culture of the Pelicans really well in the 3 and D role, but I just don't think he'll ever be the same defender he was in Denver.
I mean, I feel like in order to get the best out of Bruce Brown, he has to be like on a contender. Like him in Denver, he was sick in Denver. I feel like he could still
True.
be that, but you're not going to see him like the effectiveness and the best of Bruce Brown on a team that's trying to be a contender or even trying to make the play in.
Well,
Yeah, I
the
feel like
team,
he.
yeah, I was
Go
just gonna
ahead.
say a team that doesn't even really know where they're at. I think like it's one thing to be a team that's in the dumpster, but it's another thing to be a team that's confused.
I think
Yeah, I'm
this them trading Brandon Ingram really makes the DeJounte Murray trade look a lot worse. Because
considering he's not
now
playing the
you're
rest of the year.
yeah, now you're gonna have to lean on DeJounte Murray as your guy. Like, because Zion's obviously the injury woes. Zion's the guy. And then CJ McCollum's been thrown around in these trades all year. I'm surprised he made it past the deadline without being on a different team. So
Dude, I mean,
now DeJounte Murray has to step into a bigger role, and I don't think that's what you want as a franchise.
people
Yeah, I
were
mean
having
Daniel.
doubts that Zion was gonna being a Pelican, and they really didn't like stick with it. And now we saw, and there was talks about them saying getting rid of Brandon Ingram a long time ago. They waited until the deadline to finally do it. So they're finally buying in on Zion.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna see Zion possibly get moved to another really random team, just like Bi. But kind of going back to what Daniel said, Daniel doesn't really know where the Pelicans are. Doesn't seem like they do either. I have an idea. They're 15th in the West with 12 wins. So it's clearly like a rebuild. There's nothing going. There's not much going on here.
Yeah.
Pretty soon Zion's not going to fit the timeline or the scale.
or through the door.
or in a car. We might. No, he Zion rocks some tight shorts too. My fault, Niang. That's my bad.
In one word, my
Where are you
opinion
going
on
with
this.
this? What's your idea?
Me, Jeremy.
What happened?
Yeah,
What's
we
Are you
my
heard
talking to
idea?
you.
me? Yeah, what's your idea? You never said what your idea was.
No, because I was just telling y'all where the Pelicans were at. They're at the bottom. Like it's a
Okay.
rebuild. Zion's going to go to a random team just like Bi. There wasn't much to it. There ain't much to say about the Pelicans. Never was. Never will be.
Okay.
Maybe a couple years ago when they were sick for like half a season. But
That's a good point. That's a good point. Uh, all right. Final trade here. My least favorite trade to talk about, to be honest with you, despite being one of the biggest trades of the season, the Warriors receiving Jimmy Butler for Andrew Wiggins, a 2025 first round pick, and Davion Mitchell was also involved in this trade. So the Heat got Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, and a 2025 first round pick for Jimmy Butler, essentially.
Dude,
So
I I think trading for Jimmy Butler is the worst thing that any team could possibly do. And goddamn, if there was not one team in the NBA that was not more desperate than the Warriors, it was them, man. They freaking bit and on that bait and they took it. I don't know why they went for Jimmy. I don't think I personally don't see them doing anything. I'm out on the Warriors ever getting back to a contending team. I don't think they're gonna get to that level, especially with like an aging Steph Curry, aging Draymond. They should have done this a long time ago if they wanted to try to maybe after that 2022 championship to build around Steph Curry one more time and see what they could possibly do. But now I'm kind of starting to think with the roster that they have now and everything, I think it might be too late.
that's what they said in 2022.
I'm done.
no, it's too late. We're past that. Honestly, Victor, I'm surprised you just lost faith now.
Yeah.
I've been saying this the past season and a half, maybe even two, but it was clearly a like, all right, everyone else is making moves. We're struggling right now. He still willing to trade Jimmy? Bring him over here. Who cares? I mean, he played decent in his first game. It was against Chicago, but we can't. We'll give them all the flowers they can get. Currently sitting at 26 and 26, an even mid 11th seed. The best this team is going to do is make the play in.
Yeah, we know how you feel about pods, Kevin.
Man, we should have seen bro in Miami. He would have fit the Miami try hard culture so good. I don't know why they didn't try to get him. He would have showed up with
Yeah.
his own knee pads.
And
Hey,
a
we
black
require you.
eye.
We require every player here to wear knee pads in practice. Already got him, coach.
Um, as for me, yeah, Victor, I think you're completely like I don't know in what context you're referring to as far as like it's too late. If you mean for this season, I would agree with you. If you mean in general, I would strongly disagree. Yeah, I thought this was a good move, and a little bit because of, the fact that Bleacher Report and ESPN are kind of pushing it down our throats that it has to be good, basically. And Jimmy himself said that he thinks they just pair well together, and I think I even saw a breakdown of why that is, and they kind of talk about the fact that for the first time in a long time, maybe if ever, Jimmy is playing kind of a secondary role behind Curry. And even though Jimmy still plays as, the first option kind of guy he is, he's still getting a lot more opportunities because in matchups, the best defenders are usually on Curry. They have to be. So I'm kind of bought in. I think that this pairing will work out, but my thing is definitely that looming dark cloud over everyone's head, which is Draymond. I do genuinely think he does have a lot to do with this. And I know it's kind of silly to throw around, the whole like, oh, Draymond's not gonna punch Jimmy, but at the same time, like Draymond's weird, man. Like I don't know if you guys saw that report of what he said after some ref call, basically saying like, oh, he was getting up like right in front of me, and we know what can happen. Like basically insinuating that he could have thrown a punch to the ref, which I pray to God he does one day, so we'll never have to watch another minute of Draymond ball again. Um, I'm being a little harsh, but seriously, like it does matter, and I think if that situation doesn't go poorly, they're in a good spot. And even for this season, I do want to point out that they're at currently 11th in the Western Conference standings, behind. Well, they're tied for 10th and 11th. I think it's behind the Suns. Yeah, behind the Suns and the Kings. Actually, sorry. The Kings, the Suns, and the Warriors are all deadlocked 9, 10, and 11. So, you know, this edition of Jimmy, at this point in the season, every other team is within 5 wins of them right now. So, with a little bit of luck and a little bit of this and that, I think this team could be good. Nowhere near contention or anything like that. But I have high hopes, especially for next season going forward.
What do you
Whatever you're
think?
smoking.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what do you think their ceiling is?
For this season specifically?
Yeah, because you said you think the pairing will work. So like, what is that for you? What is the ceiling?
Yeah. So that to me is making it past, I would say, if a play-in, most likely a play-in situation is here, past the play-in and past honestly that first round, past the play-in. That would
Past the play-in is the ceiling. I don't think that's a good pairing. If that's the
Yeah, that's
ceiling.
fair. Well, it's because I think there is still some holes and like, you know, I think this isn't something that's gonna work out in one season. They're gonna need the full length of next season to make this fully stick. But as for this year, I think if they make it past the play-in, sorry, what I'm meaning is past the play-in and then past that first round after the play-in. If they do that, that's what I would consider their ceiling.
So second
Well,
round.
if they make it past the play-in, they're gonna be either the seventh or eighth seed. So that's either the Thunder or probably what's gonna shake out to be the Rockets or Memphis. And I think they get smoked by both of by all those teams.
Thunder, yes. Memphis, I would think so, but at the same time, I could see that. I could see that swinging. And it's very early, and I haven't seen enough of this. But matchup wise, versus the Grizzlies, I mean that'd be a fun matchup. I think.
Yeah, it could be Denver too,
Yeah,
because
good
right now
point.
they're sitting 2 games right behind Memphis. Yeah, man. Like
They get
first off,
smoked.
if they make it into the first round of the playoffs, good for them. They're not getting any farther than that. Like we could
They're
chalk
getting
it up.
slapped.
They could get a game or two if they're really feeling it. If Jimmy has one of his vintage performances, but I don't think so.
I want it to be known too that Victor went into this season absolutely sky high on the Curry train after the Olympics.
We have it. We have it on
Yeah.
tape. It's in
I
our
know.
episode.
I know.
I
Is that
don't
true?
remember what if I believed in them or not. I honestly do not remember.
I could tell you my answer.
Mm. I remember you were a firm no. I think I was the in between. Victor was high on them. Daniel, I don't remember what you were.
They were just playing so good defensively and everything. Seemed like they freaking had it, but I'm done.
And I think I expected them to be exactly a little bit higher, but pretty much like 9 or 8 is where I thought they were going to land.
I just want to see how quick Jim. I just want to see how quick Jimmy's going to mess this up.
Yeah.
It's going to
There,
happen.
there's a lot of memes of him and Draymond in the like locker room just battling it out, and then Curry just sitting in the corner.
Yeah.
Texting fucking Tego.
Huh?
Hey, this is a family friendly podcast, Daniel. We'll serve your fine after the pod.
Yeah. But yo, Miami's kind of up, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. Wiggins is a guy who will plug right in. Khalil Ware's obviously on the come up. Shout out IU legend. Um, and then Davion Mitchell, I feel like they just stole from Toronto. And I haven't watched too much Davion Mitchell film this year, but I do know he has a reputation for being a solid defender. So he's already better than Terry Rozier. So dub. W.
Hey, that wasn't
Yeah, he
hard.
could be nice. I mean, Keon Ellis kind of came in and became a better Davion Mitchell
True.
in a way.
Yeah,
So
that's a
if
good
if he
point.
can if he can improve a little bit, he's still super young. They could have some for the future. I feel like no one really knows what Bam's future holds because he's kind of got left there to die.
Yeah.
Still got Hero.
He's such a weird player, man. Bam is an obscure player. I might make a video on that, the most obscure player in the NBA, and just talk about Bam.
What's obscure about him?
Just his shot diet, his aggressiveness, being inconsistent. He's like a beast on defense, but never will win Defensive Player of the Year. There's like a lot of just like weird, obscure things with him. He's just like a weird player in a way. He's a good player when he has his nights, but I don't know. That aggressiveness thing, we've been saying it for years. How many times does some NBA YouTuber have to tell him to be aggressive before he listens? And the answer is as many times as he wants because we're NBA YouTubers. We don't actually know what we're talking about.
As long as he's in the
But
league, because always kicks in the playoffs too. The past
yeah,
we've seen Jimmy kick it into another gear, but we always seen like we would see Bam like tone it down a bit. It's like, dude,
yeah,
why? Regular season, he's pulling the midi, he's hitting it, and then in the playoffs, he won't dare take a mid-range shot, and he can hit them. I've seen him literally live with
yeah,
my own eyes.
yeah.
I
He's a fascinating player.
Lights might be getting too bright during the playoffs.
Dude, I think
Crowd.
the Miami Heat just got a lot deeper with this trade, man. Like if you look at, I'm gonna pull up their rotation
Deeper?
right
I
now.
mean, they only got Davion Mitchell.
They got
That's the
Wiggins.
only. Yeah, but Wiggins is just replacing Jimmy in the starting lineup.
Hey man, Jimmy wasn't even playing. They just got a player who's playing now.
I guess, but depth is bench. Wiggins will start. But yeah.
Am I missing something? Oh, dude, I forgot Kyle Anderson. Have they figured out what they were doing with him?
Oh, they did get Kyle Anderson. No, I
Okay.
forgot about that. You're right about that. I don't know what trade that was, but they did get him.
Because the thing about Kyle Anderson was they didn't know if they wanted to trade him or like I think they were even debating cutting him too. Okay, no,
It's
he's on the Heat.
it's crazy
Yeah,
how little he played in Golden State.
yeah. They barely played him.
Like not at all most nights.
Bro's like their most versatile defender outside of Draymond. They just like, nah. We'll go with pods. It's just crazy.
They saw that jumper, bro. Like I'm not even trying to like be stupid or make a joke. Like it's just atrocious.
True. It's
How did he
I don't
make
know
it that
how.
far?
Dude, I don't know. Probably because he went to UCLA. Like he has to be good, right? He's got to be good.
I mean, if he just had a somewhat decent looking jump shot, I don't even care if he hits it.
How old is Kyle Anderson? Actually, like the 28
27.
maybe? 27?
I'll look it up.
He's 31. Okay,
Oh
never
wow.
mind. He's older than we thought. Um, but yeah, I mean, you're 31, you have all these years in the league and you still don't have a decent looking jumper. I wonder if the jumper we see now is the improved version of his jumper. and like it was worse before. I'll have to watch some old Kyle Anderson like rookie film.
Well,
See what
what
kind
If it
of
was
if
blue
pure.
waffle, see what kind of blue
if
waffle this guy's jump shot was.
if this is the improved version, he must have been shooting with his feet before.
Had one of those lag jumpers.
That's what he has now.
It's like, bro, you are 31. How have you still not fixed this? Like we saw Andre Drummond develop a 3-point shot. You still shoot like that. That's crazy.
That's actually insane when you put it into those terms.
Yeah, like Blake Griffin got a 3-point shot before Kyle Anderson. Ugh,
And boost.
true. All right, are we done here, fellas? I'm about ready to tap out on this podcast. We've talked
So
about a
this
lot of trades.
this deadline was exhausting, man. I'm glad it came. I'm glad it's over. I'm ready to just watch
Yeah,
some
man.
ball.
For
We
real.
did our we did our part. Shams did his. Shams, that 20-hour screen time on the day of the trade deadline. That was crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. But GMLB family, we're gonna wrap it up here. We thank you all for being here. As always, if you want to find us on all platforms, we're on Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok, where we post our short form content. If you want to watch the podcast as an audio experience, we're on Spotify and Apple Music. We also have the video on Spotify now. And of course, we post all of our short form and long form content here on YouTube. If you like the content, we do have our second channel. This is GMLB Pod. We do have our other channel, Good Morning Let's Basketball, where we post retrospective NBA videos and things of that nature. And if you want to email the pod, we do have our email at gmlbfans@gmail.com. We read all emails on the show. As always, fellas, Luka's debut tonight. Let's do a stat line prediction. What do you guys see? Daniel, you could go first.
35. 35, 10 and 7.
Okay.
Not all
I'm
at
going
once.
next.
Yeah, not all at
Uh,
once, please, fellas.
I got him doing 27, 8, and 9.
I'll say 22, 6, and 4.
Okay. I was gonna say 25, 7, and 7 is what I was gonna say tonight. We'll check in. We'll see how he does next pod.
He scores 100.
Coming back from an injury, I got him scoring
It's like
almost 40.
87 points. 87-point triple double.
Holy cow, dude.
14 assists to Jackson Hayes alone.
Hey, you know what? The balls in his court, the younger Charizard already scored 45 earlier this week. Was it 45 or 46 or
It was some in there. I think it was
yeah.
yeah, I think it was 45. 45
Okay.
sounds right for Austin Reeves. But
But
yeah, Cam Reddish legacy game inbound. Get ready. Oh, you tried to trade me? Dude, imagine he comes out as like 40. He has like a 40-point game. Ugh. All right, fellas. GMLB family, thanks for being here. We're gonna head out. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.